What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Luke Nesler. We come to you every week bringing you stories of brands in the moto space. How did they get the attention that they have now? How do they turn that attention into something profitable for their business? Now, these brands aren't always companies. They're not always the products that we put on our bikes, the gear that we put on our back. Sometimes these brands are the athletes. And today, that's exactly what we're talking about. We're talking to Jeff Walker. Now, many of you probably know who Jeff Walker is, not because of his on-the-track results. Now, Jeff is a skilled athlete, but Jeff's reputation, Jeff's brand, the attention that Jeff has on his career has come from his off-the-track actions, primarily on YouTube, as well as on Instagram. And Jeff has opened the door to some career-changing opportunities for the 2020 season because of what he's done by building his personal brand with his YouTube channel. And we talk about that today. I'm really excited to have him on the show because I think what he is doing is something that you're going to see. I know what he's doing is something that we're going to see more and more and more of from athletes as well as non-athletes that are in the industry. A good example is what Steve Mathis has done with Pulp MX, what Chris Kiefer has done with Kiefer Inc. testing in his brand. These guys are walking through the pits and people know them because of the internet. Right? Newsflash, it's not going anywhere. It's not a fad. And some athletes, as well as industry professionals, are leveraging it, using it to get more out of their career. I'm intrigued by it. I think it's something that can bring value to a number of individuals. So I wanted to talk to somebody that's great at what they do, and Jeff Walker is great at what they do. Hey, if you have questions for us that you'd like to get answered on the show, simply email them to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. You can also follow me on Instagram at Luke Nesler, LukeNesler. Shoot me a DM there. I've also started to do something on my Instagram account to where when I'm interviewing somebody for that week, it takes a couple weeks before it goes live on the RacerX YouTube and podcast channel. But when I'm getting ready to interview somebody, I'll let you know in my Instagram story. And if you got questions for the guest that I'm going to be interviewing that week, you simply send me what the question is. I'll be sure and ask them. So a couple ways you can do it is email me or you can hit me up on Instagram. Regardless, I'm excited about today's episode. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get into it.
Welcome to the Moto Marketing Podcast, presented by RacerX, the podcast for moto industry professionals, entrepreneurs, and riders. If you want to grow your brand and business in today's digital-first world, you have to know how to turn a stranger into a fan, turn a like into a customer. You have to know how to turn attention into dollars. This podcast is dedicated to keeping you in the know on real marketing tactics that work in the moto world so that you grow your business and help grow the sport. Get ready to learn from the very same marketing experts trusted by RacerX, Lucas Oil Pro Motocross, GNCC, and NBC Sports. They'll help you navigate the world of digital marketing for your moto brand. This is the Moto Marketing Podcast. Presented by RacerX.
Man, I'm excited about today's episode because we have an athlete with us today that has had some pretty strong results on the track, but could argue that he's had really strong results in advancing his career by leveraging his brand and telling his story and growing his social media following, doing all the things that all the big to small riders today should be doing, but not enough of them are doing it. So when I find somebody that's doing a really great job of it, I really want to pinpoint them and showcase what they've done. I've got Jeff Walker on the show with us today from the FXR Chaparral Honda team. Jeff, man, welcome to the show. I appreciate you being on with us.
Yeah, hey Luke, thank you so much for having me. Doing podcasts is like one of my favorite things to do, so I always get really excited when someone offers me the opportunity to come on. So
Well,
yeah,
that's
thanks for
awesome,
having
man.
me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you on, and I think the audience will be excited to hear a little bit more about your story. I know the majority of the people listening to this have probably seen at least a couple of your videos, and thanks to YouTube's algorithm and how it works with suggesting videos, I stumbled upon them I think last year and watched a couple, and then I found myself watching pretty much every single one you put up because I could relate and understand kind of what you were doing, and more so than maybe a top tier rider like Eli Tomac. Like you really show everything from the struggles to bringing family and your girlfriend to the race, and just showing when you do qualify, when you don't. You really do a good job of just lifting up the curtain and showing that. How did you get started doing it? Was it just something that one day you're like, you know what, man, I like the whole vlog thing. Casey Neistat kills it. Gary V. I'm gonna just video, me training for the races, and then it just go from there. How did we get started on this?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting one actually. I never really watched vlogs before. I watch a couple car dudes just because I'm really into cars, but as far as like moto vlogging or daily vlogging or anything, I never really watched any of that before I started doing it. But the way it happened was all throughout my amateur career, basically, my dad has been there for every step of the way. He was there for the first time I got, threw my leg over a PW50, first time I raced, first time I went to Loretta's, first pro national. And then once I went to college, I moved like 1,000 miles away from home. So he wasn't really there anymore to experience, motocross with me anymore. He went from being at the track every single day with me to, not seeing me for 9 months at a time. And, every single time I would go to the track, I would get a text from him or a call, and he was just, asking about how my day went, how the riding was, make sure you have my girlfriend take some videos and send it to him. And I was like, all right, you know what, Dad? I'm just going to get a GoPro. I'll start uploading some GoPro footage for you on YouTube so you can just watch it, know exactly how my day went, and that'll be it. And I don't know, like you said, the YouTube algorithm or whatever just happened to pop the videos up in some people's feed, and people started watching it, asking for more, and it basically just went from there. One video, I got the new Honda 450 Works Edition when it first came out, and I was only doing GoPro videos, and then someone said, hey, dude, like, how do you like your bike? And I was like, well, I guess I'll just talk a little bit in the next video and tell them how I like my bike. And then, it all just went from there. After that, people were just demanding more and more, and then it led into what it's turned into now. So kind of a funny little story, but
I think what's cool about... Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say I didn't really have any ambitions at all to do vlogging. It just kind of fell in my lap, and I ran with it.
I think that might be one of the biggest reasons it was such a success, because for as many riders that have no interest in it, there's probably 10 times more that want to, whether they're amateur or pro, there's more that want to have that following. But I think what happens is... I think the easiest way to explain it is trying too hard, right? So when you started it, you really were just trying to show what was going on, right? If you rode well, if you didn't ride well, if you liked something, you didn't like something, you weren't trying to be like somebody else. I think what happens today is a lot of riders think they have to try to be like Brian Deegan or his son, or try to be like you, rather than just showing themselves. There's another guy I'm going to have on here soon. Have you ever heard of, I think his name's David, but his YouTube name is Dio. He's in Colorado.
Oh yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah. That's what it is. So
we're good friends.
Daniel's awesome, man. Like he genuinely seems like a good guy. He's a good rider, better than a lot, but it is what it is. Like, he's not pro level, but he's got this YouTube following because people just find his story interesting. And if he goes to an arena cross and gets dead last, he shows that, and he's still having fun. And I think what's unique is, whether he realizes it or not, he's opened the door to potentially monetizing and building a part-time or full-time career with endorsing brands and things like that, because people are watching his content. And I think that's where this conversation goes with you is, you're a hell of a good rider. You're one of the best riders in the world from the standpoint that not many people can go and qualify for a pro national, especially when they're going through, you just went through med school, correct?
Pre-med.
Pre-med,
I'll
right.
I'll be going to med school pretty soon here.
So you're obviously extremely intelligent. You're a full-time student, just graduated, going to med school. and qualifying for pro nationals in the summertime. But I think what's so valuable about you is you have that, but you've got this shininess factor to these brands that, you got people paying attention to you. When was that turning point that you were like, oh, wow, okay, I'm doing okay at these races. I'm reaching my goals. Look, I'm not top fiving or podium, but I'm getting in. But man, I've got these brands that are paying attention to me because of what I'm doing online. Was there that shift or that moment where you realized that, hey, I might have something here?
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny how it worked out because, obviously while I'm going through college for the past 4 years and medical school is coming up quick, I'm kind of realizing that my motocross career is coming to an end pretty soon here, right? And I was kind of kicking myself because I was like, man, I was seeing a little bit of success on the YouTube thing, and I was like, man, I kind of started a little too late. I wish I would have started doing this a little while ago, and not even realizing that this was actually just the beginning of everything for me because of those YouTube videos. So, yeah, I think the turning point was probably when I went out to California for the first time and I met up with Michael Lindsay, and he was like, hey, you know what? Like, Michael kind of opened my eyes. He was like, companies want to help you, man. You just got to talk to the right people. He's like, do you have anything going on for boot sponsor? And I was like, nope, this is my only pair of boots. And he's like, all right, we got to go talk to Alpine Star. He was like, what about your helmet? I was like, nope, I bought this. He's like, all right, we got to go over and talk to Bell and Alpine Star and all these people. And I was like, and then we would go and talk to them and they were all like, wow, this is incredible. Like, yeah, we want to help you. And I was like,
so let's talk about that for a second. What was it when you were, and I think you vlogged one of the episodes to when you went to Alpine Stars with Michael. When you were having those conversations, what was it that they were turned on by and was appealing to them about your brand from YouTube? Was it the views? Like, what were you surprised when you heard what was coming out of their mouth, what they cared about? Like, what happened in those meetings?
Well, the thing that surprised me most is that most of them were aware of the channel and had watched a couple things, and they knew me as a person. It was almost like we were friends before we even met. And I think they realized that that's kind of a valuable thing. Like, yeah, there are people watching my show or my channel, but they're like, there's more to it than them just watching the channel, right? They kind of know who I am and know what I'm about, and they can trust me and know that I'm going to give them my honest opinion and that I know what I'm talking about. So I think for them, it was just, yeah, I mean, the fact that I am racing professional motocross and I'm on that stage is pretty big, but it was definitely more so the views and the community and all the people who trust my word, and they just want to be friends with me, basically. So I think that was the most appealing thing to them. But yeah, it was just cool to kind of show up to some people who I looked up to, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we watched some of the videos. That's really cool. We like what you're doing." And I think, they already have people to fill the role of, they have their Eli Tomacs and Justin Barcias at the top step of the podium. So now they want to see all right, what other type of roles can we fill with people? And I guess I just kind of filled a role that wasn't filled previously. Yeah,
it's exactly what I was saying at the beginning of this is relatable, right? I mean, there's so many guys that can relate to, man, I would love to qualify for a pro national, and maybe they're, a few steps below you, but they can relate to you a hell of a lot more than what they can relate to a Justin Barcia or an Eli Tomac, because you show that struggle, and you do a really good job of showing the real life that you live. When you were a student, you were showing that. When you would bring your girlfriend to the track and she would film, and then just all this stuff, and it really does pull you in. Did it take that talk with Michael Lindsay for you to realize that you had something, or did you realize man, I've got this following, I wonder if I can do something with it? Or were you literally oblivious to it until Michael Lindsay kind of put that sign right in front of you?
I mean, of course I could see the YouTube numbers going up and everything, and I was like, man, this is really cool. Like, people are interested in it. I didn't really know the extent of, the living or the opportunities that could come from doing it. I was pretty oblivious to that side of it. I mean, you do get the revenue off of YouTube and stuff like that, but I didn't really know the market that was out there as far as, sponsors wanting to put stuff towards your program. And then, obviously now I'm on the FXR Chaparral team, and I think the YouTube was a big part of, obviously me being on that team. Like, on one hand, I was putting in some okay results while going through school and everything, but I think definitely the biggest appeal to those sponsors was that I have this huge following to show off their products and everything. But exactly like what you said the perfect word is relatability. My audience isn't people who are chasing professional motocross. It's people who go to work or go to school and they go out and ride for fun. And, I think they really like the fact that I'm just like they are. I'm going to school, doing all this stuff, and I'm still going out and showing them that they can do the same thing with their job or their situation that they're in. So I think they really like that.
Where do you feel you would be if the YouTube channel, and now kind of the whole thing's moved over to Instagram? I think you have 40,000 followers on there, if I'm correct. Where would you be today if you had never picked up that GoPro and started making those videos for your dad? Do you think that you would still be racing? Do you think you would have these opportunities? Where do you feel you'd be at today in 2020?
Yeah, I would still be racing right now, but it definitely wouldn't be in the capacity or with the same, components on my bike or in the same support and everything. And beyond that, this would probably be my last year racing professionally. Obviously, I just graduated from undergrad and I'll be going to medical school here pretty soon. So medical school probably would have been the end of my motocross career. Unfortunately, that's like taking on 5 full-time jobs at once. So yeah, this probably would have been my last go at it. And it would have been a pretty sad year, to be honest, just kind of taking everything in and kind of like redoing my last hurrah basically. But now I still have the medical school thing in mind, but I'm kind of weighing the scales right here where it's like, go to medical school for 4 years and go a couple $100,000 in debt, or maybe try out this whole motocross YouTube thing for a couple years. And if it doesn't end up working out, then go to medical school. So now I kind of have this cool opportunity where I have a couple more years of racing in me and a lot of time to really devote to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting how social media has completely enhanced, if not changed, your career to where, you think back 3-4 years ago, you probably never would have told yourself, I'll be debating on if I'm going to keep racing or going to med school. Like you just said, no doubt it's going to be, I want to go to med school. But now you've got this opportunity, you see what it can do for you to grow your brand on the internet and the opportunities and the doors that it's open. So for somebody that, you got this college kid, this high school kid that they're wanting to do the same thing you did, what's 1 or 2 pieces of advice you'd have for them when it goes into growing a channel, whether it be consistency of how many times you upload, anything that you saw that you're like, man, this made a big difference, or is it just a mystery to you and you don't know how you did it?
Honestly, it's all about your personality, dude. It doesn't matter how fast you are or how much you've accomplished or anything. People just want to know who you are, and they want to hear your story and what goes on, and they want to know who you really are, not just the face that you put on when you have a camera in front of you. The dorkier I am on camera, the more people seem to love it. So I would say
awesome. Yep.
It is pretty tough to get comfortable in front of a camera. And if you go back and watch some of my first videos, they're definitely a little bit cringy, and they're nothing like my personality is so different in those first videos. But now, whereas before I would have done a couple takes on something and watch it back and been like, I look kind of dorky in that one. I'm not going to put that one in. Now I'm like, the dorkier the better. People love it. And it's so much easier because I don't have to try and think of what people want to see, because at the end of the day, they actually just want to see me. So it's kind of cool. Definitely.
So be yourself.
Yeah, be yourself, man. You don't have to go out there and, throw big whips and, go 100 miles an hour around the track and be the fastest dude. People just want to know a story, know who you are.
So talk to me about that moment that you're going to Alpine Stars with Michael Lindsay. You're this kid that, you grew up with this good family. You're going to college. You're doing a thing, but really you're just this fast kid that you probably never really thought you'd have the attention of an Alpine Stars. Were you like, man, this is insane? Like, walk me through that moment where you realized that this YouTube channel has gotten you to be looked at as valuable enough that a brand like this is paying attention to you. Did you ever think you would see something like that, or did you always kind of expect it to be the case?
No, dude, never ever did I expect anything like that. I mean, like I said, I mean, even through my whole amateur career and everything, you know, my family kept a very, very level head on my shoulders, and they didn't even really need to because I was slow as an amateur, so I didn't even need any straightening out or anything. Like, it was all just for fun for us. We never reached out to sponsors or anything as an amateur, and the whole time I was racing professional, we always knew that this was just going to be something I did for fun until I couldn't do it anymore. And so, yeah, I literally have no contacts in the motocross world. Well, previously to this year, I knew nobody. And so all of a sudden to have this floodgate of people coming in, and not just any random people. I mean, it's one thing to meet, you know, Ashley Young, the Alpine Stars rep at a track, but then to have her say, hey, you should come over to the Alpine Stars headquarters. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Me? So yeah, it's
all
pretty
because
insane
of
how it all happened.
YouTube, all because of Instagram. It's a
Yeah.
powerful tool, isn't it?
Dude, that's probably the most powerful tool, especially for a privateer. I mean, people do like to see, you know, Dean Wilson's vlogs and Adam Cincerella's vlogs and stuff when he was doing it. But I think, like you were saying before, man, just how relatable it is to see a privateer going through the struggles, especially a privateer who's, you know, going to school and stuff like that and doesn't really have the time to train. People just love the story, and it's led to way more than I ever imagined it would or could.
Do you think some of the big names of the sport, you know, the Cincerellos, the Tomacs, the Roxons, I mean, some of these guys do a pretty good job, but, you know, I think really Adam a year ago was the only one I've seen at a really high level trying to do some type of video content. Do you think that these guys are missing out on potential endorsement deals and really just, I guess, padding their paycheck, for lack of a better term, by not doing what you're doing? Or do you think that really the people that are going to be the most successful, it's the working class guy that doesn't have that you know, that shiny light on him every day or every week on the podium? Do you think they're missing out on that opportunity as well?
It's hard to say. Right now, while they're racing, I don't think they're really missing out on anything. They've got the best of the best stuff, you know, the best sponsors and everything. I think where they might be missing out is later, once they retire. And
like a Villapoto.
Yeah, Villapoto, or I mean, you see how it worked out with Cole Seeley. He started to dabble a little bit in the vlog type things while he was still racing, set himself up perfectly for once he retired, and now he's just going full ham. He already built up a little bit of a base while he was racing and everything. He got to show that side of it, but now people are just like, they can't get enough of it, dude. He's just going out and riding his bike, having fun with his buddies, filming it all, and I think that's going to lead to a lot of awesome stuff for him. I mean, already just at Anaheim 1, you see him down doing some announcing on the floor. So
yeah, and I don't think he would have gotten that opportunity if it wasn't for what you're talking about. He probably wouldn't have gotten asked to do that. I could be wrong, but I do think it opened a door, and I think it. You know, the same can be said for you. I mean, look at a Daniel Blair, who's been a guest on this show, and his episode should be coming out soon. I mean, Daniel was a really skilled rider, but was he a Chad Reed or a James Stewart? No, absolutely not. But he has done things through his podcast and whatnot that he's grown his brand where, I mean, look at the opportunities that he's getting now on the sidelines. So you continue to grow that brand. I mean, I think it's a matter of, if you decide to, hey, I'm going to stop racing on the weekends at a pro level, it doesn't mean that your career as some type of a content creator in the motocross, supercross world, it doesn't have to end. Have you thought that far out with it?
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the biggest things on my mind right now. Like, obviously, I'm kind of at this crazy fork in the road where if I turn right and go to med school, kind of turn left, take a hard turn off the highway, and kind of venture through this crazy motocross YouTube thing. And, you know, like I said, or like we talked about before, the whole pro motocross vlogs and everything, I mean, they were a big hit this summer, but that's not like people's favorite type of video that's on my channel. Like, really? I think even if I wasn't racing professional motocross right now, I think people would still probably watch the videos. At least I hope they would. So
yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, go back to Dia. I mean, he doesn't race professional motocross or arena cross, and he's got a large following. So what are the types of videos that are the most popular when you put something up that really just that pops? What's that consist of?
Well, people really, really like bike builds. Stuff like that, because I think that's even more relatable to them because everyone's always building their bikes and stuff. So they really like that. they like when I just go to a new track and kind of explain how I'm doing things. Like I made a video where I talked about, it was actually just a GoPro of me at Orlando MX for the very first time. And I filmed my first session out of me like learning the track and did some voiceover over it. And people love that type of stuff. I mean, people really did like the Pro National vlogs and everything. And obviously that was a big hit. But like, I think if I wasn't racing professional motocross and I was just doing things to help other people, like tutorial videos, I think that would be just as big of a hit. Obviously, racing is my biggest passion right now, and I'm still going to do that as long as I can. But hopefully, when I'm too beaten and battered to race anymore, the community's still going to be there, and we'll watch the videos no matter what I'm doing. So
yeah, and I think they will. I think it's. I mean, look at Brian Deegan. And obviously, he's got his 3 kids. That's a big part of the content. But if Brian didn't have his YouTube channel, he would be kind of the legend, the guy that used to do X Games. Like I see him every week because of YouTube. So I think it's something that elongates the career of anybody that wants to go down that route, and it's going to give you that opportunity to where if you decide to pursue medical school, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to grow that. So the opportunities that it gives riders, whether it be from giving you this opportunity with FXR Chaparral Honda and your other sponsors, or be it after you stop racing, I think it's a phenomenal thing that I wish more people would do. And, selfishly, I know it's what grows the sport. I mean, there are people that are watching you and that are watching Dio, that are watching Hayden Deegan, all these guys that they're asking mom and dad for a Stasic or a motorcycle because they're seeing your videos. That's happening. And these brands obviously know that, or they wouldn't get behind folks like you.
yeah, I think that's like the coolest thing and makes it all worth it for me, is because I get tons of DMs and stuff from little kids who are, or not even little kids, dude. Sometimes it's middle-aged men who message me and they're like, man, I used to ride when I was a kid and I completely got out of it once I started to go to work and everything. And I watched a handful of your videos and I'm going out and buying a new dirt bike today. And I'm
That is
like,
so cool.
what? That's amazing.
It's
dude.
crazy. That's got to make you feel so good.
Dude, it feels great. Like, obviously, it's no secret that motocross is kind of on a decline right now. So whenever I get something like that, it just makes me so stoked. And it makes me wish that every other privateer out there right now would start making videos, and not even just the privateers, but just everyone, dude. I mean, it's so prevalent in all other forms of, sports, whether it's cars or anything like that. And I think motocross needs it, dude.
Yeah,
for sure.
I agree. Well, let's talk about this season a little bit before we wrap up. I mean, so you're on the FXR Chaparral Honda team. That's Michael Lindsay's team. I really want to have him on to talk about it. He's a madman. Like the fact that he's pulled this off, I think, is so cool. And I've heard him talk about it on a couple other podcasts, that literally the only reason he did it was to help the riders like you that are on the team. And I think that's super, super awesome. So talk to me about you're sitting out Supercross, but you're prepping and going to be ready for motocross. What do you have in store for us this year?
Yeah, first of all, Michael is the man. Like, there's no other way to put it.
He gets a lot of crap from the people on Pulp MX. I don't understand. He's just, I mean, like, normal people don't do what he does. Like, he's genuinely, I've never met him. So this isn't me just blowing smoke, but I mean, you have to be a good person to do what he's doing.
Oh yeah, dude. There's not a mean hair on his body, I don't think. I've never heard him say anything mean, but no, like, when I first met him, I obviously knew he was this go-getter, and he was introducing me to all these people, and I was so grateful for that. And then one day he just called me and he's like, hey, I got something going on. Would you be interested in this? And I was like, you're insane, dude. But yes, of course I'm interested in that. But yeah, the plan was to do Supercross initially with the team, and then I was going to be riding all fall with RJ Hampshire up at his place.
Very cool.
Because that's only like 2.5 hours from where I was going to school at the time. But being that was my last year, or my last semester in school, I had senior research going on. I had final exams. I had to keep a high GPA, because obviously if you want to get into medical school, you have to keep a really high GPA. So I really did not have any time to do any sort of riding at all. And then being that I've never done Supercross before, I thought it would be a pretty poor decision for me to go out, kind of do things, not have adequate time to get fully comfortable and everything, and just go out there and try and push beyond my limits. And I felt like that was just a recipe for disaster. Beyond that, I've never had time to train before the outdoor series before. So all the results, I mean, I'm stoked that I've been qualifying for the past couple of years, but my fitness and preparation has always been extremely, extremely subpar. So I kind of had a talk with Michael, and I was like, man, I would love to just spend the next 4 months training my butt off for outdoors. And ultimately he agreed. All the sponsors were okay with it. And I'm just super, super grateful for that opportunity. Cannot thank Michael enough. FXR, Chaparral, all those guys. This is going to be one heck of a year. I'm very, very excited about it.
Well, man, I'm excited to see what you do and this summer and to follow along on the videos. And who knows, whenever you come to High Point, maybe we can get you in studio. If you're here and you have a couple hours in an evening, we're right down the road from it, and we're going to take this podcast to a video show as well. So maybe we can get you and Michael to come in and talk about the team and get an update on how the videos are going at that point.
Yeah, I think that's that's one of the most appealing things about this whole team deal, is that I'm not going to have to, overlook every single bit of the operation anymore. Whereas before, I would do all the loading, all the bike work. I would drive to the track, make sure my bike got through tech and everything, do my own maintenance. Now and on top of that, filming videos and everything and talking to fans. Now I'm going to have a big weight lifted off my shoulder where I'm going to have a lot more free time to do some cool stuff. So yeah, come High Point, I would absolutely love to come down there and get in the studio. That would be awesome, dude. I would love that.
You got to be proud, man. And your dad's got to be proud. Like the fact that you're able to do what you just said, to where what you've done with your brand and your Instagram and your YouTube and your videos and growing this following, it's given you this opportunity to have, whether it's just this 1 year and you decide you don't want to do it anymore after that or not, it's given you this opportunity to be on this team and to be able to focus on racing and not have to worry about, changing your rear tire. Like that's going to be taken care of for you. And it's all because obviously you're riding, but because of your brand that you've built. And I think that is why we had you on the show today. And I think that's something to be super proud of. And I'm very excited to see where this year goes for you, man.
Well, thank you, man. Yeah, my dad is, he's the most level-headed person and the most realistic person that I've ever met. He's always been the one who's, kind of enforced the whole school thing on me. And I'm really, really grateful for that, because obviously school is super important. Of course, I always went with this whole school thing, and I knew that motocross was going to be just for fun. But there was always this little seed in the back of my head that just hoped and prayed that something would happen. And so for me, like it's a lot of excitement, and I am shocked and proud of myself, but I'm also like relieved that I can do this. Whereas for him, I think this was a total shock to the system. Like he was not expecting this at all. And I think he's still getting used to it. But yeah, I hope I can make him really proud, and my whole family proud, and myself proud, and all the viewers. And yeah, it's just really nice to hear that you guys are supporting it and you guys are proud of me. So that's cool.
For sure, man. Well, before we leave, for those that might be living under a rock, tell us where we can follow you. And then if you have some sponsors that you obviously want to shout out as well, please do that as well. So where can we follow you? YouTube, Instagram, anywhere else?
Yeah, so my YouTube is just Jeff Walker. If you type in Jeff Walker and any sort of acronym for motocross, I'm sure it'll pop up. Instagram, Jeff Walker 84. Pretty much all my social media is just Jeff Walker 84. You can catch me at any local track in the Midwest or down in Florida. Come up and say what's up if I'm around. Don't be afraid to get in front of the camera with me. It's always cool to have some viewers in the camera and everything. But yeah, as for sponsors, the whole FXR Chaparral Honda team, Michael Lindsay. We don't really have the full list of sponsors nailed down yet, but definitely go over and follow the FXR Chaparral Instagram page. You can see all the stuff going on over there. Follow Michael Lindsay, his YouTube channel, all that thing. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm excited to see what the future brings this summer once we go outdoors, and I'll be following, and we will definitely be in touch soon. And man, I appreciate you being on the show with us today.
Awesome, man. Had a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome.
See you guys at High Point.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to the Moto Marketing Podcast. If your goal is to get real, measurable results from your marketing that will grow your company revenue, then check out how Impakt Media can get the same results that they have for Moto's most iconic brands by visiting thinkimpakt.com. That's THINKIMPAKT.com. Have a marketing question that you want answered on the show? Send your questions to questions@motomarketingpodcast.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And we'll catch you on the next episode of the Moto Marketing Podcast.